The future of work is changing faster than anyone expected. And going into 2026, the most competitive companies won't just have stronger teams, they're going to have smarter teams. At the center of that shift is a new kind of employee. So think outside the box here. What would you think about an AI teammate built to work beside you, think with you, and accelerate everything you do? Well, what does all this mean and what does it look like from a owner or manager's perspective? And that's what we're going to talk about with our guest, Dean Mercado, the CEO and founder of Online Marketing Muscle. Dean, welcome to the program.
Hey, Jeff, it's as always, it is great to be with you, man.
So, Dean, employees are hard to find, they're expensive, you got to train them. Today's concept is about a different type of employee, and I know you've talked about AI agents, digital coworkers. We've had conversations about that. What about an AI employee? What is that? What does that look like to you, Dean?
Let me start this out, Jeff, with a quote I've come become a little bit kind of more open to and finding the real deep insight into that quote. And it comes from heavyweight champion boxer Mike Tyson, of all people. But it's right on point. And he was known for a saying that goes something like this: everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And I'm telling you, folks, where AI is going in 2026 and beyond is going to be like that punch in the face for us. And if we're not going into this with our eyes open and our mind open to what's possible, we're in trouble, right? I'm on the record, Jeff, many times over the last 2 or so years in particular, of being on the forefront saying things like, by the year 2027, most service business, the meat to the service business is going to be extremely different, almost unrecognizable. The way we did things a year or two ago are going to be very different than how we do them in 2026, let alone 2027. And it's either you adapt, you adopt and adapt, or you struggle and maybe go away. And that's not a good thing for many of us, you know. And I'm not trying to sound like doom and gloom. I'm here to give you like your heads up. Hey, this could be an amazing game for you in 2026. 2026, and I went over this heavy in Vegas, this past big ISSA event where I had a packed room, and I talked about how AI is the biggest disruptor in my lifetime. Now at 57, that's a lot of disruptors I've seen. I've seen the onset of the PC. I've seen the onset of the internet. I've seen the onset of smartphones and social media, and goes on and on and on and on in it. But AI, and especially at the pace that AI is evolving, game changer, right? So coming off that stage, bottom line is either you look to where things are going or we're going to be in trouble, because at the end, 2026 is the pivotal year. That's where a lot of your competitors will start adopting and adapting these technologies to actually work on their behalf. A big word that I'm going to throw out to you for 2026 is speed. Speed is going to be king in 2026, but not the speed maybe we were used to, right, Jeff? Usually we would balance, we would trade off speed for comprehensiveness or speed for competence. No, not any longer. People are going to stop tolerating and start expecting even more speed out of you, but with competence. Why? Because your competitors are going to be able to do that, and you need to keep up with where they're going. And even more so, I'd love it if you were the one leading it. Lead the pack. It's going there, folks. Whether we like it, whether we don't like it, it's irrelevant. So that speed shift is here, whether we like it or not. So we want to make sure that you understand we're not talking about taking jobs from everybody, right? Most of you, especially in the cleaning industry, 90% of your staff is in the field doing work, cleaning, right? That's great, right? Same with restoration, probably very similar in that aspect. But your back office is where it's going to hit the most. Now, I know, like you, Jeff, we walked around the floor a little bit at this last event, and I mentioned it last year, even when you see the robotics and yeah, even the stuff in the field is going to change soon, sooner than we'd like to think. But your back office, either I say, adapt or die at this point. And that's really scary for a lot of us, but it doesn't have to be. Don't leave it to the last minute. Now, I used the Mike Tyson quote right out of the gate on purpose because a lot of people I'm talking to right now, and I've been talking to a ton since the show even, which was only a few short weeks ago. They're already in their planning for 2026. What are they leaving out? They're leaving out AI and this concept of AI employees. Yeah, they might be touching on AI, but remember, AI in and of itself is just a tool. It's just a technology. It's what you do with this stuff that makes a difference. And that's why this concept of AI employees is so important. A shift you're going to see is you're going to see the best, most forward-thinking companies, their org chart is going to start having what we call these AI employees on it, filling certain roles and filling certain functions on behalf of the company. So instead of having to continuously hire for some of those tedious things or some of those things that humans tend to make a lot of mistakes along the lines, you're going to start seeing these AI employees. And it's kind of like a spin-off of the agentic AI, Jeff, that you and I have talked about in the past, these AI agents. At the Vegas show, I showed a really simple way for people to step into starting to create their first AI employee. And we're going to get a little bit of that into that today to help you understand. It's not about coming out of the gate filling roles with 100 different AI employees. We just need to get your feet wet and get you starting to think a little bit differently about what's what. So the big reveal for you here, I revealed it at the show. We started naming these different AI employees and started to communicate how, even on my org chart in my company, because I always lead by example. I don't tell you to do anything we're not doing, right? Our main methodology is called Clone the Owner. Jeff, you may remember us talking about that in the past. And that methodology gets into a lot of different things, but overall, it's about you getting leverage on your business. Getting leverage on your business. And the biggest way to do that is AI. So this concept of AI employees is about cleaning up how you do your systems, thinking differently about how you approach your business and saying, okay, let's take on one of the most important things a business does and a business needs, and that's systems. Whether you want to grow, scale, or just survive in 2026, if you don't have your systems down, you're going to have problems. And if those systems are not evolving, and a phrase I use is directly out of my book, The Mind Stretch, evolve to actualization. You've got to evolve to who your company is meant to become in 2026. I'm not talking about the 2023 version of you. I'm talking about the 2026 version. The timeline of everything, folks, has sped up at an enormous, almost irresponsible rate. And if we're not keeping up with it, we've got problems, right? So, yes, this is an area that you're going to want to get help with. Definitely. You're going to want to figure out, how do I leverage this stuff properly? So, the number one AI employee that I was suggesting at the show is one, because we name our AI employees too, and you can name yours whatever you want, but so that you would understand this one, we call it the documenter. The documenter. And the documenter is meant to help you really lay out your systems in a much better way, because you can't automate what isn't documented. It's hard to improve what's not documented. We can't allow genius to reside in any one particular person's head. And number one, I'm pointing at all of you business owners out there that have a lot of that genius in here. But the problem is it's in your head. And when you remove yourself from the picture, we've got a problem, right? We can't afford to allow that to happen. So the documenter is meant to help you in that capacity to get your business documented for 2026 and beyond, to help you start thinking a little bit differently. Now, you can have fun with what you name your AI employees. You can call it Susie Documenter. You can call it Johnny Documenter or Davey the Documenter. You can call these things anything you want. You can give them full real names, right? Now, like it, don't like it, it's where the ball is going. I don't make this stuff up. I just like to sit on the forefront and figure out how we can use this stuff so that it actually benefits those of us who are business owners. Because I realize for my own business, I have to learn to move better, faster, and cheaper. And if I don't, I'm in trouble, right? One of the main reasons my company, Online Marketing Muscle, has been around for over 21 years now, right, is because we believe in evolving. We never get so wrapped up in staying the same, because nothing in this world stays the same, right? So in my world, once we name this AI employee, we start giving it plays to run with. It's like, imagine yourself playing football and you're the head coach on the sideline and you've got your book that has all your plays in it. So whenever this scenario happens, use one of these three plays. Whenever this scenario happens, use one of these three plays. You've got to have that playbook laid out. So at the event, I started laying those out. What are some possible plays? And for you, one place I would say to think of is what we call the draft, right? You could call play number one the draft, and that particular play can do a lot for you. In my own business, I call it the SOP draft generator. You may choose to call it the same thing, right? And basically, it takes ideas that I have, ideas that key employees have in my business, and it turns them into a structured, usable SOP that can actually be used by our team, whether it's human or AI employees, to follow, right? So we train it and we feed it our template for SOPs. So all our SOPs always look and read the same exact way. They have all the same kind of detail, the same amount of detail, so that any intelligent human or AI that we bring into this can carry it out, right? So the draft generator is the number one play to help you generate. And at the event, I actually got into, Jeff, and you and I talked about a prompt, what AI prompt to use, right? And I got into that. We can go back and listen to that episode. That prompt will still work, although I've tweaked my prompts over the years. They're a little tighter now. Jeff and I can get into that another time. If you want that, tell Jeff and we'll get into it. But bottom line, that draft generator is about starting to get your SOPs. And I talked about not just, well, Dean, I got 5,000 SOPs, possible SOPs in my company. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in Vegas, I identified the 9 core ones. That this is what I'm talking about. You need to get these, your life cycle marketing, right? Your life cycle automation, your life cycle, your client journey. I'm using all different variations of how people might refer to these. Your client journey, everything from how you get them in the door in the first place with your marketing, to how you convert them with your sales process, to how you onboard them, to how you get them to buy more and more frequently, right? How you maximize them, so on and so forth. Those are the core processes I would focus on with this draft generator, and make sure that those, my core life cycle, my core buyer's journey, client journey, are properly documented. If they're not in 2026, or you think they are, but you're not sure, you're in trouble. I can't say it any clearer than that. So that's one, right? Is the SOP draft generator. The second big one that I would add in here is what I call the process extractor, right? And I use a different prompt for that one that is more iterative. In other words, the process extractor uses questions to get the information out of you or your key employee's head, the genius out of you, so that it can then take that stuff and turn it into a documented process or procedure. So this process extractor is another script we use. And actually at the Vegas event, I gave these scripts away to people because I showed them how to create these things. And again, if these are things that you want, talk to Jeff and we will talk about how we can get them to you or how we can put on another episode that'll give you deeper dive into some of this stuff. But that process extractor is one I use a lot because most people don't know what to feed AI. But if you tell the AI that, hey, ask me everything you need to know. For you to be the best at this role, AI, if I was going to have you do this and you were going to be the best in the business at this one function, what do you need for me to tell you in order to do that? Start asking me the questions one by one. And then you answer those questions. And now the cool thing about AI, especially ChatGPT or Gemini, you could speak to them. And they'll actually, so you don't have to type all this out anymore. And I'm a lazy typer, so so I have arguments with my AI over this stuff all the time because I'm speaking with it in that way. Third big one, I would say, and this is for those of you saying, I got all my processes documented. We're good. First off, I call bull on that, whether or not you're all good on that. SOPs, processes, they're not meant to sit on a shelf somewhere. If you're not looking at these things at least every 90 days and having somebody assigned to looking at every single one you have at least every 90 days and signing off on them every 90 days, you got problems. End the story. Things are changing too fast now. So the third big one is what I call the process optimizer. It's another play. So I feed in my current process and I use AI and scripts we build in AI to improve that process. How can we do this better so that we save money, we save time, we become more effective for our audience out there, and so on and so forth. So those three plays alone, just from the documenter, this one AI employee, are really positioned to change the game for you in 2026. Again, using Mike Tyson, I don't want you to get punched in the face. That's not what I'm looking for. And it's going to be that way and feel that way because things change. Now, let's paint one scenario for you. How many of you out there, and I know it's happened to me, where you lose a key employee? And if it's not drawn out of their head properly about how to do something perfectly, or at least as great as they were doing it, we've got problems. We want to circumvent that. So these AI employees, if you were to look at my org chart now, you'll start to see that the way it used to be was like the old Bugs Bunny. And I probably mentioned this in a long time ago, Jeff, in an episode with you, where Bugs Bunny plays the Gas House Gorillas, right? And Bugs Bunny has to play every position on the field. Bugs Bunny first base, Bugs Bunny second base, Bugs Bunny third base. That's how it was with me even a few short years ago. Not anymore. Doesn't have to be that way anymore. Now, I name my AI employees, and I have that AI employee playing first base, that one playing second base, that one playing third base, right? The genius of how those are doing things comes from me, though. I'm not just leaving it out there for AI to do all of this on its own. No, I train it. I set the parameters so that when it replicates stuff or does things on my behalf, it does them as if it was me. And it does a pretty damn good job at it. A little scary at points. But you know what? That's the world we're stepping into, folks. Like it, don't like it, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here trying to help you understand. 2026 is an opportunity for you. If you come out of the gate running with this, you'll probably be okay. If you don't, I don't really want to tell you what may happen. It's not going to be good for you, though, right? And you don't want to get behind the eight ball, so to speak, on this, because I'm sure many of your competitors aren't sleeping. And the Example two I used at the event was that you've got to expect that the younger kids coming up in this industry now, it's clear to a lot of people that the cleaning industry in particular is a huge cash machine. It's great for generating revenue. Everybody wants to be in this business now. It's becoming sexier every single day. But these younger kids coming up, they're growing up with this stuff. This isn't like something they've got to learn per se. This is normal for them. This is something I saw starting to happen 10 years ago in your industry, 15 years ago, with newer technologies stepping in. And the older generation struggled. I coached a lot of you. I know, and I'm telling you, that struggle doesn't have to be the way it's going to be if you do what you need to do. So the documenter, and that's just one of them, folks. We have handfuls of these things that we throw out there, but I'm not trying to overwhelm you today. I'm just trying to help you understand. Take one on. One. And yes, we create job descriptions, just like as if it was an employee going to fill a role. We define the job purposely. We create that job description, and then we train it just like we would an employee. We train it, and we have a whole system for doing that, starting with what we call our keystone asset, which tells it everything it needs to know: the who, what, when, where, why, and how of our company, that position, what's expected of them, how they're going to be measured, all of that stuff. This is where you're going to be going, folks. So I want you to start thinking. We called it AI employee on purpose because you have to start thinking about it as if it was a human in that way. And I know that's a little controversial, but a lot of people just think, oh, I'll just type in this and boom, let AI do it. No, you'll fail. AI is horrible when you just leave it to its own whatever out there. If you don't train it, shame on you. You get what you deserve. That's why if you look at it like an AI employee, you kind of stand a chance. So with this documenter, a phrase I use is document or disappear. Don't let that be you, and there's plenty of people like myself out there that can help you in a lot of different ways. You just got to raise your hand and you got to take it seriously, folks. This is game on, this is, get in it, get in it to win it. Otherwise, I don't know what to tell you. So thoughts, Jeff. I know it's a lot, and we can go really down a lot of rabbit holes here. But, for prudence sake here, you tell me to bring up any sparks for you, any thoughts for
Well,
you.
you covered it nicely, Dean. I would say the one thing you did say I want to ask about is you stress that AI is just a tool, but then you said it's an employee on your org chart. Which is it?
Great question. The AI, as most people know it today, is a tool. The AI that I'm referring to is an AI employee. It's about giving that AI purpose. It's about giving that AI understanding. So my AI that I use, I train it up so well that it knows my company's vision. It knows where we're going and why. It knows my ideal client profile. It knows exactly who I'm targeting and how I target them. I've fed it my best content. It's got my book. It's got all the content I've written over the years. It knows how to sound like me, how I think about a lot of things. And yeah, that's scary. But you know what? It's going to have that anyway, right? Because any of us who've been online for any period of time, I can look up any one of you and within a minute profile you as good as a disc profile can or better. Because every one of us has such a footprint these days. So if you start thinking of it not so much as a tool anymore, but as an employee, one that you're going to hold accountable. That's why my wife laughs at me because I argue with it. I'm a hot-blooded, New Yorker by birth.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm recovering in South Carolina, as I say now.
You're in recovery?
Yes, I'm in recovery. But that hot-headed comes out all the time. especially when I see technologies like this that are going to blow the doors off of everything we know to be so. And take it seriously, or it's on
Mhm.
you.
So if someone watching, you mentioned the documentary, you said to start simple. Someone who is running a business, they're successful. They're not using AI other than asking questions and getting Google type answers, I suppose you could say. Where would you say that they should start? Like which project, which employee type should they do just one to get started?
Yeah. So the biggest place I say to get started is to tie it in with my clone the owner framework. It is about cloning the owner's genius, right? And you all have it. You all have an innate genius. My job as a coach has always been to get that genius out of you and get it so that we can use it and have your company benefit from it. Systems are the way to go. Not just using frivolous AI frivolously to answer some questions for you, but to help get your systems down, because your systems are assets. Your systems are intellectual property, right? So if I'm the owner, I want to increase the value of my company. When I create intellectual property, that increases the value of my company.
Mhm.
So by systematizing my business in a much better way, going after that client life cycle as a first thing to tackle. That's why the documenter is the first one I throw out there, because when we document our in our own way, we do a crappy job. I hate to say it, folks. Most of you are terrible at it. I've seen a lot of your SOP manuals. A lot of them are garbage. And that's why no one's looking at them anymore, right? That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about mission critical. We go after the mission critical systems first,
So which
right?
system would we are you speaking of?
It starts with your marketing.
Well, you said the life cycle of a client was one of them.
Yes. Well, the life cycle of a client includes marketing, sales, your client delivery or your client onboarding, fulfillment,
Okay.
right? So it goes from marketing to systems to your fulfillment to all your administrative tasks that you do after the fact. You know, when I approached it at the event, I went after the concept of freedom, right? I went after the concept of freedom because that's what most business owners are asking me for. They've become a slave to the grind, a slave to their business. And so we approached it with that mindset. That's why it's about bringing the genius out of you and making it so that you're replaceable, right? Replace yourself. If you can replace yourself or at least some key functions, great. You could start looking at yourself as being on the board of directors of your company instead of being Bugs Bunny on first base, Bugs Bunny on second base. Don't do that anymore. It doesn't work. And the younger generation is going to run circles around you if that's what you continue to do. And I've had some heart wrenching conversations with a few different people at this past event. And I won't mention too much detail, but my heart was breaking as I was hearing their stories and how they're screwed right now. And I hate to say it that way, but they are. And now their companies aren't worth anything. And they want to get out of it. They want to retire, but their companies aren't worth anything. And if they sell their business today, they're not going to get anything for it. Hence, they have no money coming in at that point. So they keep working well into their 70s, approaching their 80s. Come on. You're talking cleaning business now. We got to be real, you know? So at some point, we break down. So don't be that. There's better ways. And that's what I'm trying to stimulate here. Jeff and I are trying to stimulate by bringing this to you. Think differently, approach differently, you know? But it starts with what's the mission critical, right? And if you wanted to break it down into one, yeah, okay, you could start with your short term marketing approach. How do you systematize just your short term marketing? That would be one thing I would say. A short term marketing approach is something that brings you a lead within 30 days.
And Dean, that's my point though. I think a lot of people watching they're overwhelmed by what they can do, but if you give them a simple start, and that could be it. your short-term marketing.
Yeah.
That's
With
that's a
most,
bite size. I can do that. And once you
yeah,
do one, that means the next one
absolutely.
could be a little bit bigger, and so
Correct.
on. Yeah,
Now, the real answer there, Jeff, though, is that it really depends on each individual owner and their company.
sure.
So typically, when I'm coaching them, I would line up that life cycle in front of them, that journey in front of them. And then based on where their bottleneck is, that would be the one we'd attack first. So the
The
part of
challenge,
that
the
journey
problem.
that's broken is
Hmm.
the one we would aim at, we'd fix that. So this way, we stop the bleeding in that part and start them generating more profitability as opposed to just money running out the back door.
Hmm.
So that's typically what we do. But in coaching so many of you over the years, you could take on that marketing one first, just talking generically, or, because most of your marketing is horrible. I hate to be the one who tells you that. I've been the owner of a digital agency for 21 years, and digital marketing is changing drastically. Most of what worked a year ago is not working. And I think most of you know that. It's one of the biggest complaints I heard at the event. My marketing's not working. I have a third of the leads I had even 6 months ago. Yeah. Again, better, faster, cheaper. How are we going to do this better, faster, cheaper? So, lining up AI to be an impetus for you to help you in that area, smart move. Smart move. Fix the marketing.
All right, and we know sometimes getting your best employees is by poaching someone else's. So keep an eye on your documenter over there.
Yes, exactly. And if you focus, or you hang around me and my stuff, I talk a lot about this stuff. So Jeff and I are just scratching the surface here today. You know, my hopes were to stimulate you, to get you
Yep.
to think a little bit more strategically, not just about, oh, this is a cool, fun toy to play with. No, how do you leverage it? Because the key to real growth, sustainable growth, and a business that you can sell that's worth something, leverage.
Hmm.
You've got to get leverage. AI is the biggest tool for leverage right now.
And we'll see in a year how it all worked out.
Yeah. And I hope it worked out great for all of you.
I do too.
Yeah.
Well,
Good
Dean,
luck, my friends.
thank you for this. We're out of time, but good information. For those
Yes.
still with us, do something simple, but do something